Hi guys, so today, actually tonight, I made no yeast cinnamon rolls. Now, there's nothing like a yeast raised cinnamon roll, but when you don't have the time, because it takes a lot of time to make yeast raised cinnamon rolls, but when you don't have that kind of time, the no yeast cinnamon rolls are really good. This recipe is actually from a website called Bigger Bolder Baking. That's where I got it. So I'm going to take a taste. Let's see what I've got right there. A beautiful cinnamon roll. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get right to the middle of it. Oh, look at that. Look at all that cinnamon. Wow, that's a lot of cinnamon. And let's have a taste. Here we go. Oh my God. The cinnamon roll itself is kind of crunchy on the outside because it's more of a biscuit texture, but that is super delicious with the fresh glaze. That's really good. These aren't what I'd call hard, but they're not also easy. They're next level baking, but you will love these, especially since they don't take all day to make. I hope you try this at home. All right, so to make these cinnamon rolls, you're going to need regular flour, all-purpose flour. You're gonna need 3 different kinds of sugar, okay? You're gonna need regular basic sugar, powdered sugar, this is for the icing, and brown sugar. And you could use dark brown sugar or light brown sugar like I have. You're also gonna need salt, regular salt, baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder, vanilla, butter, not margarine, never margarine, gotta be butter, 2 egg yolks, so we won't need the whites, we're only gonna need the 2 egg yolks. You're also gonna need cinnamon. I have a couple different kinds here because this one's almost out. Sour cream, and some cream cheese like you'd use for a bagel. And equipment-wise, you're going to need a big pan like this. This is about 9 inches by 9 inches. Yours can be square or it can be a circle, doesn't matter. All right, let's get started. All right, so first thing I did was I coated this pan with butter, softened up butter, because cinnamon rolls do like to stick, and butter helps their flavor too. Okay, now over here in this bowl, I have the ingredients for the filling. I have 1 1/4 cups of soft brown sugar, and 2 1/2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and I'm gonna add in a 1/2 cup of melted butter. I just took one of those sticks of butter, I put it in this measuring cup and microwaved it till it's melted. So I'm gonna add that butter now to it and just give this a stir. So this is the cinnamon mixture that's gonna be in the middle. So I'm gonna mix this up and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to make the dough. All right, so into this large bowl right here, I put in 3 cups of flour and 6 tablespoons of regular sugar, 1 1/2 tablespoons of baking powder. Now, if you don't have a 1/2 tablespoon measure, just remember that 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. So that means that a teaspoon and a half would be a 1/2 tablespoon. So it's 1 1/2 tablespoons of baking powder in here, or 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon plus a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Also 3/4 teaspoon of salt in here. And I'm just gonna mix it up. Just gonna give it a mix. And over here is 3/4 of a cup of cold butter right out of the fridge. That's important, cold butter that I cut into little cubes. And 3/4 of a cup of butter is the same as 1 stick and a 1/2 stick. That's how much butter is here, cold butter. So I'm gonna put that in here. And watch how I do this. I'm gonna mix it up. And what I'm gonna do with the butter is I'm gonna squeeze the butter like this between my fingertips. Squeeze the butter in between my fingertips. That's why it's important that you cut the butter into small cubes. And I'm gonna keep doing this until the mixture kind of looks like coarse sand, kind of like thick sand. We'll come back when I've done that and I'll let you see what that looks like. All right, so we're going to do the liquidy mixture now. What I have in this measuring cup is a cup of sour cream and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and I'm going to add the 2 egg yolks to here. So let me show you 2 different ways to separate eggs, separate the whites out of the yolks. Okay, so the first way is the typical way. Okay, you're going to take the egg, crack it open, have it over a bowl, and undo the shells, and trap the yolk on one side, let some of the white drip down, and then transfer it to the other side. Let the white drip down. Keep letting, you want to get as much of that egg white out of there as you can so that all you have left is that yolk. Okay, so in goes the yolk. Okay, now the other egg I'm going to do a different way. Okay, and this works if you don't have long or snaggly fingernails. Okay, and if you're careful. So this this egg, I'm going to crack into here the whole egg. Okay. And this yolk, I'm just going to pull it out with my fingers. And you got to let the white go through. Go back and forth between your hands. Don't break that yolk. There you go. Yolk by itself, right in there. Now I have 2 egg whites here, and there's no yolk in there. I don't know what that is, but that's not egg yolk. So what I did was I labeled a bag. 2 egg whites plus the date. So the egg white goes in here, and later on I'll show you a recipe for some meringue cookies that you can make with these 2 egg whites. And what I'm going to do with these egg whites, I put them in a freezer bag, and they're going to go into the freezer, and they'll last for 2 or 3 months until I need them. But don't throw these whites away. Okay, I'll come back and show you what's next. All right, so here's the dry mixture. I just want to show you the texture of it now since I rubbed all the butter in with my fingers. You can't see big chunks of butter anymore, but the butter is definitely there. Okay. The other mixture I had with the sour cream and the vanilla and the egg yolks, I just whisked that up with a fork, that's all. Okay. So now what you're going to do is mix the wet stuff into the dry stuff, and you might not need all of this mixture. So let's put in most of it here, and we might need the rest of that, we might not. So we're going to mix it in, and what you want, you don't want to make the dough that's too dry and crumbly, but you also don't want it too wet. So let's see what happens here. It looks like I'm going to need the rest of that mixture because this is pretty dry. So let me just add in the whole rest of that stuff here. The rubber spatula really does a good job of getting mixtures out of things. So there's not a lot left behind. Okay. So I'm going to keep putting this in, keep mixing it in until it looks like the mixture will hold together. Now, if I need a little more moisture, I might add a little bit more milk to it. We'll just see what happens here. Okay, I'll come back. So I'm still mixing this in, and I decided to use my hands. Your hands are really good for mixing things to get all this dough together. So the dough is now starting to come into a ball like that, which is what we want. Okay, I just wanted to show you that sometimes you need to go in there with your hands. So I'm just about ready to start rolling out this dough and making it into cinnamon rolls. All right, so I have the dough here that I made. Now I have a marble board here because my tile, if you see there, my tile has these lines that are grooved into there. So my rolls would have all those lines. So I have this nice marble board that I'm gonna roll out this dough on, okay? Now I put flour on the board so the dough won't stick. You might need more. Now what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna get a rolling pin and put some flour on it. And I'm gonna roll out this dough. It's gonna take you some time, don't do it in a hurry. And what I wanna get in terms of size of this dough is I wanna get about 16 inches long and about 12 inches wide. About 16 by 12. I don't have a ruler. I wish I did. It's somewhere in the house. I don't know where it is. So I have a secret weapon, my iPhone. This is an iPhone SE. It's about 6 inches from here to here, okay? So 12 inches would be 2 iPhone lengths. 16 inches would be a little bit more than 2.5. 6, 12, yeah. So I'll come back when I have that rectangle made. Okay, so I've rolled out my dough. I have my phone here, my weird measuring thing. And now if you look at this dough, it's a little uneven. You have kind of this unsquared off shape, but that's okay. I'm gonna fix that. So I have about 2 phone lengths there, so that's about 12 inches. And I've actually got about 3 phone lengths there. That's a little long. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna square everything off. I'm gonna take my pizza cutter. You could use a knife too. And I'm just gonna cut off this rough edge here. And this rough edge here. And this edge over here. And this edge over here. Okay, so now I have a nice, fairly even, not 100% even, but fairly even. Let's see what it is now. That's one there, it's one there. So it's about 12 inches and about, yeah, that looks good. It's a good rectangle. It's not sticking. Hopefully not sticking. Okay. Now I'll show you how to spread the cinnamon stuff on it. Okay, so I have that brown sugar cinnamon butter mixture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of chunk it up along all over this surface. And then what you're gonna need to do is spread it out evenly all across this dough. And you wanna leave a little bit of a border on each side. What I'm going to use is this. This is my offset spatula. This is a great little tool. But you could actually use your fingers if you wanted to, or just a butter knife. This is going to take me some time to spread this around, but I will. And we'll come back and you can see what it looks like. Okay, so I've spread the mixture across here, and let me tell you, it took a little longer than I thought it was going to take, but I did it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the long end, okay, the long way. And I'm going to start rolling this up. Rolling it up, give it a head start here. You want to give it a nice tight roll up so you don't have gaps in your cinnamon rolls. So take your time doing this. Okay, just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Tight roll up. Okay, when I get to the end there, I'll come back. Oh, there you go. See, now, there you go. All right. There we go. Look at that. Okay. All right, we'll come back in a second and I'll show you how to cut this up. Okay, so I have it all rolled up, but see how this part is kind of flopping over? You wanna pinch it together here. Pinch it together here as best you can so it won't open up. Think you're doing like a big suture to this thing, pinching it up. Okay, so I'm gonna pinch this whole thing up. Then I'm gonna show you how to cut it, so I'll be right back. Okay, we have the dough, it's been sealed up. So I wanna cut this into 12 rolls. So we're going to do this geometrically. Use a serrated knife with a jagged edge there. We're going to cut this in half. Okay, so for 12, we want 6 here, and 6 here. So I'm going to go in half this way, and in half this way. Okay, so now we have 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want to go 3 for each of these quarters. So we're gonna go right about there and there. Okay. You want 12 nice, lovely, even rolls. Now, if you get 13 or you get 11, is it the end of the world? No, it isn't. Okay. And there. All right. Let's see what these guys look like. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Gorgeous. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put them into this dish. I'm going to lay them flat like this. All right. Hopefully they'll all fit. Now what I'm going to do here is you can bake them right away, or I think they're going to fit. No, they're not going to fit in this guy. So I got 9 of them. I'll save these other 3 guys for another time. So if you had a bigger, I thought they would fit. If I had a bigger one, I'd put it in there. You don't want to scrunch them in. You want there to be a little room in between each one because they're going to get bigger. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap and put it in the fridge because I don't want to eat them yet. I want them for dessert. They can stay in the fridge overnight though. So if you wanted them fresh in the morning, you could definitely do that. And like I said, if you had a bigger dish, this is about 9 inches by 9 inches, then you could fit all of it in. Don't think I'm gonna throw these away. I am not, they will get used. Okay, I'll come back when it's time to bake them. Okay, so the rolls are baking in a 400-degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes. Although I set my timer for 25, I always do that just in case they're done sooner. And I'm gonna be making the glaze while they're baking. So what's in here is a 1/4 cup of very soft butter and 4 ounces, that's half of an 8-ounce package of very soft cream cheese, 1 cup of confectioner's sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So what I'm gonna do is with my mixer, just my little mixer here, I'm gonna mix it up, start real slow, otherwise you'll have confectioner's sugar everywhere. And just make this until it looks good to you. And if you think it needs a little bit more liquidiness, you can add a little milk to it. If you think it's too liquidy, you can add more powdered sugar. I'm gonna crank up the speed here. All right. Okay, so when I come back, the rolls are gonna come out of the oven. I'm gonna let them cool off for a little bit, and then I'm gonna put the glaze on them, and they're just gonna be wonderful. All right, so it's been about 32 minutes. Take a look at the rolls now. They're big, they got a nice golden brown on top. So I have the frosting that I made. So I'm gonna go ahead and frost them. I may not use all of the frosting because remember there are 3 that I did not bake, but I'm gonna go ahead and cover these guys with frosting. I might just use it all. I haven't really decided yet, but there you go. I do not mind a thick layer of frosting on a cinnamon roll. That sounds a-okay with me. But just look at this. Imagine a morning with this, or an evening like it is for me. Just great. All right, I certainly hope you give this a try at home.